Hi, it's Lavon. Welcome back to my channel and to Step by Step. We've been doing the sign and all the sorts of things pertaining to reopening the store, but now we're back to painting furniture, and this week we're going to do a vintage vanity from start to finish. This piece was in my bridal rentals, and here it is. It had previously been painted in haint blue, and it had an oval mirror, which I kind of Frankensteined on. This is the mirror that's going to go on it now, and it's really a lot more appropriate to the style of the furniture. So first thing to do was to remove the old mirror, and it was an awkward fit, really. It just sort of leaned. It had to have a support, and it didn't look good from behind. So the new mirror's now on it, and I had to do a few adjustments to it. It left a smaller gap, but I had to make a few pieces to fit in there. And I removed all the hardware. I intend to keep the hardware. There's a place where the veneer has chipped, and I'm gonna use Dixie Belle's mud to repair that area. This stuff is awesome. It's like wood filler, only it's a lot easier to sand. And I'm repairing covering the holes where I filled in. So there was also a place that the wheel was coming off, so I used that piece of board under there, sort of like a jack, and jacked it up so I could repair with wood glue and screws to hold that wheel in, which those wheels are old vintage wooden wheels. So this is actually a waterfall piece, which was the 40s. So it's a cool old piece. So after the repairs, got to cleaning it, I used Dixie Belle's moonshine, or not moonshine metallics, I used white lightning. Got distracted. I did a little selfie there in the mirror for you. Always when you use white lightning, you want to spray mist or use a rag to rinse it. Now I'm getting to the painting, and I'm using vintage duck egg, and there it is with one coat of vintage duck egg. Looks better already, doesn't it? And now I'm starting to look at my transfers, and I've made a selection from Redesign with Prima. It's Burgundy Rose, and there is the dresser after I did some blending, and I'm going to show you how I did the blending. By the way, I am using a cheap, crappy brush, and it is horrible. I just grabbed it. I often buy little brushes so that when I teach classes, I can show them the difference between using a bad brush and using a great Dixie Belle brush. So there are better brushes that I usually buy. This one had a plastic handle, and it was really worst of the worst. I wouldn't even buy that to give them a comparison. No contest there. But anyway, I picked it up and I used it because I was just using that area, a very small area. I'm using the color Sea Glass. So on the side there, I only have one coat of the vintage duck egg. Now I'm putting just an area in the center that I want to highlight of Sea Glass. And now I'm taking more vintage duck egg and just painting around the frame so that I can blend those two colors together. I have shown you blending before, and lots of paint tutorials cover blending, but it's one of those things, until you feel comfortable with it, you can never watch it enough. Every single time I see someone blend, I try to take advantage of it because I just keep trying to get better at it. So I think with practice you become a lot more confident with it, and having the right brush. So I'm using a regular Dixie Belle mini here, but the next brush that you use as a neutral brush for blending is the oval medium. It's so nice and soft. And then of course I want to use a mister bottle, and I'm spraying it with the water. It's a continuous mist bottle, and then I use the brush and go through and just blend the colors together. So I do an upward stroke all through that spot of color, and I keep wiping the brush off, and many times we'll remist it. Sometimes I don't. It just depends on how it feels. Apparently I wanted a little more vintage duck egg right there. And then I take the brush and go back and across. Now you'll see it looks kind of stripy, but we'll take care of that. Sort of reminds me of Venetian blinds there. But we're going to go back through it again. That time I didn't use the mister. See how every pass just makes a difference and blends those colors together. The idea is to diminish the edges. Okay, so I'm going back across again, putting more Venetian blinds in there, or vertical or horizontal stripes. Now it looks like a rib cage, doesn't it? But now I'm going back and I sort of made like a parenthesis, you know, or a comma, to just kind of get rid of those edges. And then I go back through, you can still see a little of that striping. Just go back and clean that up. Just keep working it until you're happy with it. I think I'm pretty happy. Okay, now I am working with this transfer and I'm cutting it apart. It comes in 3 sheets and everything is a separate image except for one image that is continuous, so you have to match it up. So it continues over the 3 sheets, and I use that image on the mirror. So I'm cutting the rest up. I'm setting them aside, and I kind of, as I'm cutting, I kind of get an idea where I want to put the images. I end up putting the big continuous piece on the mirror, and then I cut out some little pieces that are peaks along the drawer sides, and various pieces on the piece. There's 2 big images that I use on the sides of the piece, and some medium pieces that I use on the drawers. So I use this entire tube of transfers. Normally I don't use them all. I usually end up with some left over. On this one, I'm cutting the bottom of the continuous piece so that those pieces will butt right together and line up. I am being very messy and all my scraps are going on the floor. So I have a mess to clean up when I'm done. But sometimes when you get in a creative mode, that's the last thing on your mind. Kind of messes with your vibe when you have to stop and clean, you know? Okay, so on over to the piece, and I start with the middle section of the transfer, the 3-piece transfer, and it applies super easily to the mirror. Again, these are redesigned with Prima transfers, and I sell them in my store. I'm going to put them on my website eventually. And of course I'm using Dixie Belle paint in this makeover, and you can purchase the Dixie Belle paint from the affiliate link in the description box. I'm also doing some cool videos on NJ on air and about to do a new series of them. So the first ones were furniture tutorials, and the next ones I'm going to focus on holidays a little bit. So hope you'll go to that, and the link for that is also in the description box. So there's a transfer that's on the side, so you can see how that looks after it's blended. Now this piece is complete. I did some waxing on here. I used Dixie Belle's Easy Peasy spray wax, and then I used grunge gray wax and put a little drama around the edges of the drawers and also around the drawer pulls. I also used some gilding wax and silver. See how the little drawer sides have a little peak of color, and also that's Lucky Lavender, and also some of the transfers. So I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I thank you so much for watching. I hope you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and also visit me on lavintagedecor.company, and we're on Instagram as Lavintage Decor, and on Facebook we're Lavintage Decor Altoona. Stay well.